Welcome to a video about Arctostaphylos canescens, talking about the Hoary Manzanita here on the southwestern slopes of Mount Tam. Well, good morning, and here we are on the glorious slopes, the glorious southern southwestern slopes of Mount Tam, which hold lots of wonders. And we're here with one of only a few populations or stands of this Manzanita. You might recognize the species, or sorry, the genus, a well-known genus in California with its centered, basically its whole diversity centered here. It's speciation, it's everything. Basically only 5 or 7 species I think get out of California, and only one is circumboreal, meaning it goes around the northern hemisphere, and that would be bearberry or canicnic, Arctostaphylos uva ursi. But we're here with Arctostaphylos canescens. And you can see on these leaves, I think it does it justice, the fine little fuzzy hairs. It's a canescent Hoary Manzanita. They call it Hoary, H-O-A-R-Y. And first, when you're checking out Manzanitas, we want to check out and see, does it have a burl or not, which is a woody, above growth sort of extension of the root system above ground from which the Manzanita would resprout from. And if these guys do, I've been looking at them, they sort of have one, but not a prominent one like Arctostaphylos glandulosa. So sitting here in this lovely stand of Arctostaphylos canescens, subspecies canescens, there's also subspecies sonomensis, which is north of here. And this species basically, I think, ranges from, it's a more northern species of Manzanita on the coast ranges, the outer coast ranges, and gets close to its southern limit, I think, here on Mount Tam at nearly 2,500 feet. Overlooking the bay, Angel Island. So when looking at these lovely guys, these quote-unquote rock stars of California, which I completely agree with. What a great term that I read in the Field Guide to Manzanita book. Go Get It by Parker, Vasey, Kaufman, Bisbee. And flowers are never a good way to key out Manzanitas, except because there's only 2 species that have 4 fused sepals, as opposed to these guys and the other 90 or 95, so that have 5 fused sepals. So you can see the, petals, and then the sepals are the first series in the perianth, the collective term for flower, and it's those little spreading star-shaped guys at the top. These guys right here, above the urn-shaped flower. So all the Manzanitas have these urn-shaped flowers. So lovely. Dangling. And let's mention that today is December 9th. This is a species that likes to go off early. We've had over 23 inches of rain up to this point from that huge storm that came through, mainly. And these guys are like, we're ready to go. Let's do it. The Pacific Ocean there. So getting back to why the flowers for Manzanitas aren't the good way to key them out, or helpful, and that's not really how the keys are constructed, is because all the species basically have white to pink to pinkish flowers that are 5 fused petals, and I believe 10 stamens inside. I'm not going to open up one right now. You can see this end of the stigma, end of the style and stigma poking out right there, and the stamens are arranged around them. Seems like, I'm not sure what the actual pollinator of a lot of these Manzanitas, if they have specialized pollinators, or if it's just a generalist thing, or they rely on they really rely on fire to regenerate and to survive. This is a genus that evolved with fire, meaning 1/3 of them have a prominent burl. I think this is an obligate cedar. This is a Arctostaphylos, Manzanitas in general, speciated out so much in California due to its huge diversity of topography, of substrates, of different rock types, which weather to different soil types. And they really chose to speciate out and in a rich way on the harshest and most sort of tough edaphic conditions to survive under, where you've got intense slope, harsh soil with almost no nutrients, intense heat. Different situations in different situations. Some evolved in conifer forests, some are coastal. This is obviously a more northern one that doesn't get inland, and so it's evolved not to handle the extreme heat. What they have really done is they have evolved with fire. The selective pressure of fire has forced these guys, along with all the different habitats, the edaphic conditions, EDAPHIC, the soil, the wind, the drainage, the slope, the precipitation, all these things, these edaphic factors. They've evolved with that and with the selective pressure of fire to then realize, oh, we live in a place where fire is intermittent every 15 to 35, 40, 50 years. We got to be able to deal with that. It's not the worst thing in the world. And now out of this 90 plus manzanitas, there are 1/3 that resprout from that above ground burl I was talking about. And I believe this is a non-burl former. I'm not seeing burls on these guys. It's really slight. I'll correct myself later if I find one. But 2/3 of them are obligate seeders that completely rely on fire and their seeds lie dormant in the soil for up to, I don't know how up to, but definitely 40, 50, 60 years, 70 years. They can lie dormant until the next fire comes and kills the parent generation, and a whole new generation that will adapt to those climatic conditions then arises. And that's a wonderful thing. And so with fire suppression, you have a lot of decadence in our chaparral communities, and many are very ripe for burning, and that's what you're seeing adding to the problem when fires get started these days. So manzanitas really form they're major components of certain types of chaparral, then certain types of woody, stiff branched, thick-leaved plants that can endure these tough conditions that they often grow under throughout California in different ranges with different edaphic conditions, different soil types, different levels of hot summer. But one of the same things being, except in the Sierra Nevada, one of the same things being throughout California, that we have wet winters and dry summers, hot, dry summers. So deal with that. So getting back once again to why the flowers aren't important in the keys is you look at the bracts. Before these flowers opened up, here we are, full bloom. A lot of them have fallen off already, early December. You look at these when the flowers are much smaller and in bud, the bracts on the subtending on the inflorescence are very good keys as to, especially in which region you're in, as to which manzanita you're looking at. And these are leafy and spreading with the canescent hairs as well. And these flowers are white to pink. These are pinker. Chose these obviously to film, but you've got white ones everywhere. Anyways, but you've got right here, you can see if they've been pollinated or not. You often find not what's called, but like they fall off pretty readily, and you get manzanita snow underneath, on top of the leaf litter around this time of year. It's pretty glorious. Manzanita snow. The petals have fallen off. So just such good stuff going on here. Can't get over it. Just such beautiful. See, they fall off so easily. The 5 sepals, the 5 fused petals, the 10 stamens, the single lobes, stigma, the hoary leaves, the fine little hairs on everything to help with evaporation loss. I never mentioned that. That's what that trait would be for. We mentioned that it's an obligate cedar. We're not seeing a burl on it. It's just it's growing out of the ground wherever it started growing from, and got all gnarled like this guy, just this way and that way, this way and that way. The wind, the sun. to love. Quick comparison here. We got a different species of Arctostaphylos. You can even just tell by the leaves. It's not always an indicating factor. But look at those. Those almost glaucous, whitish gray leaves of the Hoary Manzanita. And right here, we have the almost imbricated, but they're not. And they're not auriculated either. They're pretty close with a small petiole. That's also another distinguishing factor of coastal manzanitas, whether they have a petiole or not, believed to help with fog drip in the summer and the imbrication as well. But we've got Arctostaphylos glandulosa, and those aren't hairs on this one. Those are glands, fine little glands and fine little hairs, but lots of glands, which makes it look dirty this time of year, even though we had some rain. People ran by. There's that dust from that sandstone up on it. Another storm will make it look nice and bright, but that's beautiful looking though. Manzanitas all have the sort of brick red to mahogany bark versus the tree, the only tree in the heather family. They're in the Ericaceae, by the way. The blueberry family, vaccinium, cranberries, bilberries, mulberries, boysenberries. But they're in the heath family. So, just to show you, just a different manzanita right here. And then the whole colony of it, it's grading into the Arctostaphylos glandulosa right here, but then looking up the hill, we got all the hoary, the canescens. And then you come down here, ooh, the brighter green of the glandulosa. There's Frisco in the background. Canescens in the foreground. Arctostaphylos canescens in the foreground. Old example of the canescens right here. Put my hand in there. You can see it. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big trunk right there. Coming right out of it. There's some moss down by the base. That's about it. A little Quercus agrifolia or Wislasenzii growing a little interior or coast live. But yeah, these are coming right out of the ground. And the Arctostaphylos glandulosas will have a burl. The genus Arctostaphylos. California is where it's at for them, baby.